Good afternoon and happy Thursday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to today's Stahls TV broadcast of when to upgrade your craft heat press or home iron to an actual heat press. So what we're going to be talking about today is what to look for when you're upgrading your heat press. As with all of our live broadcasts, you will have the ability to ask questions throughout the chat feature there, and I'll be pausing, throughout the presentation today to answer these, so keep them coming and I'll answer them here, throughout the presentation. So with that being said, so we talk to a lot of crafters in the industry, and majority of all those folks, they get into doing heat transfer for their friends, family, as a hobby. And when they get started, a small craft heat press or the home iron suffices for pretty much everything that they do. But once they start doing heat application in t-shirts and bags and Christmas gifts and whatever else it may be, it starts to grow and grow and grow. And these small, tiny heat presses or the home iron, they just can't keep up with all the t-shirts and things that they're doing. And so that's when everyone starts to look into a heat press. And you go into Google or Yahoo, you do your search, heat press, and you find 1,000,001 different options for you to choose from, whether it's a small heat press on eBay, to Amazon, to what other website it might lead you to, and you see a lot of different options. You see heat presses for $150 to $300. You think, wow, that's a pretty good deal. But more often than not, when you have that small an investment into an extremely important piece of equipment for your business, you're getting exactly what you pay for. Now, these inexpensive heat presses, they often have a lot of different features where they say you could use cap platens, you could do mugs, you could do t-shirts, all in one press. And while that sounds great, it just really isn't feasible. And in working with a lot of these presses, the heat settings on there aren't accurate, so you may set your heat press for 300 degrees, but then you actually take a heat gun to it and the heat press is only reading 250 degrees. And with those different fluctuations in temperatures, you're never going to get an accurate heat press, and you're never going to know when you heat press it, it might stick, but once your client or whoever washes and dries these, the transfers start to fall off and just making you look bad because the items that they purchased from you were failing. So that's why we want to have this class to tell you about when you're ready to upgrade that heat press, go with the industry standards in the Stahls Hotronix. With Stahls Hotronix, we manufacture a number of different heat presses that are perfect for the home business, the medium-sized business, to the full-size production scale businesses where that's all you're doing is heat printing. So what we're going to go through today is the different levels of heat presses that you want to look into for adding to your business and why you should add one of these. We'll go over the pros and the cons and benefits of each of these. So with that being said, we'll start off over here with our Stahls Max heat press. And the Stahls Max is our economy line heat presses when it comes to pricing. Now they're economically priced, but they're great machines and worthy of any type of production. So this is a clamshell style of heat press, meaning clamshell, it opens and closes like a clam. So you close it and you'll lock it down. And then this has digital time and temperature displays. So it's quick and easy to set time and temperature. So you click a push of a button, increase or decrease your time and temperature to what it is that you're applying. Hit the mode button one more time to set the timer for how long it needs to be engaged. And then you're done. It's that simple. And then you close it and you'll lock it down. And then once the timer reaches 0, it'll make an audible beeping sound, and then you won't just have to pull this open. You hear the beep, and then that means it's just time to open. And all of Hotronix heat presses, they have an over-the-center pressure adjustment. So what's ideal here is this over-the-center pressure puts the pressure in the middle of the press and goes throughout this whole surface area of the platen. A lot of times you'll see other manufacturers where they have a pressure gauge in the back, which leads to more pressure in the back than in the front. You might hear it called the pinching effect. So that leads to more pressure in the back as opposed to the front. So if you have a full heat press, you might have more pressure here, but it starts to peel at the bottom because it doesn't have the same amount of pressure. So that's why Hotronix developed over the center, so that the pressure is on the center and squeezes out, so you get an even pressure across the board. And two, this has an upper flotational platen too, which self-levels on itself if you're doing thicker items and things like that. And so some benefits of having a clamshell style heat press is oftentimes the home crafter or even the small business, they're very, very tight on space, whether it's in their garage, in their spare bedroom, or if you have a retail location, it could be very small, so you don't have much space. And what's nice about the clamshell is it takes up very little space. You could stick it in a corner or set it on a table. Here in our production facilities, we have it sitting on our equipment cart, which you could raise and lower this to accommodate the height of somebody. So somebody really short like myself, you want to have it lower. If they're really tall, you could raise these just to make it much more comfortable for the user to open and close. And we also have this on our counter caddy, which benefits of a counter caddy, anybody who is thinking about getting a clamshell style heat press, I recommend getting the counter caddy, or which you'll see in the auto clam, the floor caddy stand. And what this does is this basically converts your clamshell heat press into a threadable lower platen, which is going to give you the ability to better utilize optional platens. Because with all of Stahls heat presses, you could swap out these lower platens with different sizes to accommodate different items. And we'll go over some of these different sizes and platens once we get into some application towards the end. So you get to see the benefits of just why Hotronix heat presses are the best, because they're not limiting you into anything. So the Stahls Max, these heat presses are very economically priced, and oftentimes this is the first heat press someone upgrades to when they're just using their home iron or a small little crafter's press. And these come in 3 different sizes: 11 by 15, 15 by 15, and 16 by 20. And when upgrading a press, I always urge folks to go with the 16 by 20. Why? Because that way you're going to have ample size to pretty much decorate anything. If you start out with a smaller press, sure, it's going to work well, it's going to work great, you're going to be able to do a lot of things. But if you go with 11 by 15, it's very limiting. So if you get into doing sportswear and teamwear and oversized garments, naming a number on the back might take you 2 heat presses as opposed to 1 with the smaller surface area of the heat. So if budget allows, definitely go with the 16 by 20, because it's going to cover nearly everything that you do, and you're not going to have to worry about getting something bigger moving down the line. And the reason the smaller options are available is, the price point. Oftentimes it doesn't fit a budget, but having a smaller one, a lot of folks use those as like a secondary press should anything break down, or if they're doing a lot of on-site events or flea markets, craft shows, stuff like that, they'll get a smaller one just because it's a little more portable and lighter weight to carry. But if you can, budget allows, the 16 by 20 is the absolute best way to go, because again, like I said, you're going to be able to pretty much press anything. So I'm going to pause before we go to the auto clam to see if we have any questions out there. And Taylor, do we have any? No questions. All right. Again, any questions that pop up, feel free to chat them out there and I'll get to them. So that we have the Stahls Max, and by the way, these start out ranging at $1,000 to $1,500 depending on the size. So we're going to step on over to the auto clam, which, much like the Stahls Max, it is a clamshell style heat press which opens and closes like a clamp. But the next step up that this provides is an auto release feature. So the time and temperature is adjusted just like we saw on the Stahls Max. One extra feature this has is a live pressure readout. So no matter who's doing the heat pressing, whether it's your son, your daughter, or anybody else, the pressure is going to be the same. With a Max, it's all gauged by feel. So that has a little bit of variables in it. With this one, you get a number readout. So no matter what pressure it's set at, it's going to be the same across the board. And again, over the center pressure adjustment, just like the Stahls Max. But the best feature that this heat press offers is the auto release feature. So which this is super handy for anybody who's a one-man show or just a couple of people, and you're multitasking, you're creating artwork, you're cutting heat transfers, you're placing orders, you're dealing with a customer, whatever it may be. This is going to allow you to lock this heat press down, and when the timer reaches 0, it will open automatically. You'll hear an audible beep, but then the heat press opens automatically. So what this does is it helps increase your production, because you're taking away one step of having to open it yourself. And 2, if you had to step away to answer the phone or whatever it may be that you had to step away from your heat press, it's going to open automatically, so you don't have to worry about melting any transfers, scorching any garments, anything like that. So this auto release feature is huge in production settings for sure. And we had talked about the counter caddy that we saw the Max on. This one we have on a floor stand, which again, we have adjustable height on this one to accommodate different users, so for shorter folks and taller folks. And then this is nice too, because you could wheel it into a corner, or basically it's on wheels, so you could wheel it to wherever your work is. And much like the counter caddy, it allows you, it has the threadability now that this base often, if you don't have the stand, gets in the way. So it's sometimes tough to decorate odd-shaped items and best utilize the different optional platens, which we'll see once we get over to the Fusion. So the auto release feature, again, just like the Max, it comes in 3 different sizes: an 11 by 15, 16 by 16, and the 16 by 20. And again, just like the Max, if budget allows you, swing to the 16 by 20, because it's going to accommodate any kind of heat press application that you're going to have to do. This one here is my favorite heat press that Stahls offers. I love the auto release feature. I love the clamshell style because of the space saving things. And as crafters, oftentimes you're going out on the road, the shows or little flea markets, things like that, and it's a little bit more portable as well than the Fusion, which is what we're going to jump to next. And this is our Hotronix Fusion, which is probably the best-selling heat press that we have here at Stahls. And it is a swing-away style, so it swings away. And why folks like a swing-away heat press is, with the clamshell, you're always working under that heat space. So it gets hot, and if you're doing a lot of layout of lettering and numbers, you're always going to work under that heat. So a lot of times folks don't like that because it gets hot under there, it's easy to burn your fingers. But with this, you have a 100% heat-free workspace, so it's easy if you're doing a lot of individual letter layouts and things like that. So this is a little bit of a disadvantage, the swing away, because you have to have extra room in your shop to accommodate that swing. So what Hotronix decided to do to accommodate that is you could actually lock in this swing away, so the swing doesn't stop. You use the bottom and you could pull out the drawer, again creating a heat-free workspace for easy layout of your designs and lettering and whatever it might be. And why this is the most best-selling heat press that Hotronix has and Stahls has to offer is because of the extreme versatility, which you're going to see here now once we get into some applications of the different optional platens that makes Stahls Hotronix heat presses the best in the industry, because it doesn't limit you to just doing t-shirts. You could do bags and legs and sleeves and totes. These optional platens are going to allow you to quickly and easily decorate any type of item. So let's get into some applications and showing you just how powerful the optional platens are for all of these heat presses. So this one here, it's a 16 by 20. And what this one does is it accommodates nearly any t-shirt application or even sweatshirt and things like that. But oftentimes, as crafters, you're doing more than just t-shirts. You're doing little bags and totes, baby garments, onesies, and we're going to do some applications here and just show you how you're going to be able to do these without any fear. You're going to even pressure on all of these to avoid any seams, zippers, stuff like that, that are often challenging and lead to faulty transfers because of the uneven pressures. So the first garment we're going to apply with a fusion today is this little onesie here. So I'm going to lay this on the 16 by 20 just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So you have these buttons here for the bottom, the seams here in the collar, and all of this, what this is going to do is it's going to create an uneven pressure because we're going to place our transfer right here in the middle. And so when we lock our heat press down, we have this here, and we may not think it's going to be a big difference, but it really is, because a lot of the pressure from the top and the heat is going to be exerted over the seams, these more raised areas. So you're not getting 100% pressure where the actual transfer area is, which could lead to this coming off in the wash or something like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this to a 6 by 10, so that, and you'll see why. So this has a little latch on the bottom, which makes it super easy to, you just pull off. I got to open it all the way, pull it off. And then we're going to place our 6 by 10 on here. You'll see, it drops it into that hole, and we'll lock it back in. And so what we could do to press this now is we'll unbutton this, open it up, and we're going to thread it on there, just like a pillowcase. And there, oop, I put it on backwards. All right. And so now we have this dressed on the lower platen so that all of the seams, these little buttons for the bottom, all fall off onto the side and will not affect the pressure of this heat press. So when we place our transfer, all the heat, all the pressure will be exerted in the transfer area. And we're just going to do a multimedia application on this. We're going to be using our glitter flake, and we're going to be using our fashion film. And what we want to do before any heat application, we always recommend doing a pre-press, and to be sure you're using the correct amount of pressure. So you always check your pressure with the garment loaded. So we're going to increase this a little bit because these apply with about a 3 to a 5 pressure. And there we have that. And so now we'll place our base layer. First, we're just going to do a quick tack of this. We're going to tack it down for 2 to 3 seconds just to get that adhesive to melt so we can peel our carrier off. And we're doing a quick second tack as if we did the full dwell time. Oftentimes the vinyl will shrink a little bit, so when you have multiple colors, it tends to make it a little bit difficult to lining it up. So reducing that to a quick tack reduces any amount of shrinkage that you might have in the vinyl, and it's going to allow you to quickly and easily place your second layer. And then once we swing this back, we're going to then heat press it for the full 320 degrees 10 to 15 second application. What that's going to do is completely seal the base layer, and obviously it's going to heat apply the top layer. And then this one beeps and we swing it away automatically. And then once we're done, we peel our transfer, and there we have a nice multicolor application on this baby garment, which could have been difficult had we not had the optional platens. We would have had to use a pillow or a pad to raise the pressing area up so as to not so we could avoid these seams. So what we're going to do, we'll stick with wearables for now. And what we're going to do next is a hooded sweatshirt. We have here with the kangaroo pouch in the front. So oftentimes this is challenging as well because we have this the seams from the pocket, the hood, and stuff like that that could interfere with our pressure again. So what we're going to do is we're going to swap out another platen and to decorate this item here. And for this one, we're going to use the 11 by 15. And what's nice about the 11 by 15 is you could do it portrait, but for this hoodie, what we're going to do is we're going to spin this landscape style to accommodate the hood and the pockets. So we'll turn that platen around just like that. So when we dress our platen, this pocket's going to fall below. To avoid that pressure. I'll load this back in. We're going to check our pressure. And since we switched platens, we'll have to adjust that accordingly, loosen that up a little bit. Okay, good. And for this application, we're doing another multimedia application. And we're using glitter flake. And with these heat transfers, you could either, if you have a Cricut or a small craft cutter or even a Roland or a Graph Tech, you could buy these materials in a roll to cut them yourself, or we could also do custom cut transfers for you as well through our custom cutting services. You could submit your artwork and we'll be able to recreate your artwork into a heat transfer. So these come to you just like that, and all you have to do is heat press them. Or if you have your own cutter, we sell these in roll form, so you're able to cut your own transfers. And so we'll line this one up. And since we have some of this glitter flake exposed, we're going to use a cover sheet just to protect that area and the surface of our heat press platen so nothing gets on the top of it. And this is just a craft paper sheet. These are available online in packs of 25, and they're reusable. So we'll do that. And while this is pressing, I think we have some questions that are coming in. So we have our first one from Sylvia. Is that the only one that we could change the platens? That's a great question. And no, with all of Stahls Hotronix heat presses, you have the ability to change out the platen. So every platen that I'm using here, you'll be able to use on the Max, and you'll be able to use on the Auto Clam. Why the Fusion seems to work out better is just because of the design of the heat press itself. It has an open throat, 100% open down here. So it gives you a better ability to utilize these because of the way it's designed. And now with the Caddy, the same thing happens with the Auto Clam. You have that area underneath that you could dress those platens with. Now with the Counter Caddy and the floor stand, there's still a little bit more area that you have to clear. So sometimes bags and things are a little more difficult on the Auto Clam. So that's why I think the Fusion is probably the most popular, because you have the ability to pretty much decorate anything by the way of the design of it. All right, let's see. Another question. Yep, that looks like the only question right now. So again, keep them coming. And here is the finished multicolor application with the glitter flake and fashion film that we just did. And so what we're going to do now is another often challenging thing to do are legs and sleeves. So we're going to do a pair of these stretch leggings here. And what we're going to do is we're going to swap this out to the leg and sleeve platen. And here we are. And here's our leg and sleeve. Pops on just like all the others do. And we'll lock it back down in place. And now the leg and sleeve will not work very well on the clamshell style models because of that base. You still aren't able to fully thread the leg or the sleeve on the clamshell style because of the base of the press itself. So with the Fusion, you have no problems in getting us a nice pressing area here for the next transfer. Oh, it looks like we're going on a glitter flake theme here today. And we're doing another one, which is for a cheer squad, which the glitter flake is a extremely popular product in that space, in addition to dance studios and spirit wear and things like that. So we'll swing our press over and heat press, 320, 10 to 15 seconds. And we got a couple of questions here, which I'll get to those once this application is done. Open our press and remove the carrier. And there we have our finished glitter flake on a pant leg. All right, let's get to some of these questions over here. We have from Mike, can you comment on the differences between the Max 16x20 and the Auto Clam 16x20 besides the auto open feature? Sure, absolutely. That is the biggest difference between the two, but also one other difference is the live pressure readout that you saw. If we could swing back over here. We have one extra feature here, which is a little number here, which will read the pressure of the heat press. So once we twist our knobs, it'll give you a value of whatever that pressure is. So right now we're at a 4, whereas the Max doesn't have that pressure gauge. It's just done by feel. So how hard or how easy it is to clamp down, it's more of a guesswork on what's a light pressure, what's a medium pressure, what's a heavy pressure. So the auto clamp keeps it consistent because it always has that display, no matter who's operating it. So for instance, to explain that, let's say if I am heat pressing something and my 10-year-old son is going to heat press something too. If I have a Max, something that's maybe a light pressure for me, since my son, he's 10, a light pressure for him could be heavy. So, that's the big differences there. So regardless if I have a number 2, when I'm doing it, it's going to be the same exact pressure if somebody else is doing it who might be not as strong as I am or even stronger than I am. So it just keeps that guesswork out of it to keep the pressure consistent across the board, no matter who's doing the heat pressing. All right. Why can't the pins be stationary? That was from Tasha. I'm not sure what you mean by the pins and being stationary. Here, maybe she said she didn't like the design of the pins on the Platens. They unscrew all the time, giving weird pressure. If you're having issues with those pins, I would suggest contacting Hotronix tech support. They might be able to help you out. Possibly maybe the threading is inaccurate or something like that. But maybe give them a call and they might be able to walk you through some troubleshooting or remedy the problem with a new pin or whatever it might be. So it could be a number of different factors in there. And we have a question from Kelly. Can you put glitter flake on top of glitter flake? Unfortunately, you cannot. It may stick initially, but it's nothing that's going to be permanent. So what you need to do is either like this one, this is just cut and placed in the voided area. So you either do that or you trap it and leave a little border around so that if you don't get it exact, you can't really tell, but you can apply glitter on top of glitter. It just won't last through washes and dry cycles. Like I said, it might stick initially, but it won't be permanent. So we had the leggings here, and we're going to do one more application on a tote bag. And you'll see this one here. This one could be challenging to any heat presser that doesn't have the ability to change Platens, because the strap here, the zipper here, these fancy little decorations we have going throughout the bag. So what we're going to do is we're going to use another smaller Platen and we're going to place a monogram design onto this one. And for this, we're going to use our 4x4 heat press Platen. And then just like the others, we're going to go ahead and dress this on there. And we're using, so this way, The zippers fall. We don't have these fancy little decorations here to worry about absorbing any of the pressure. Zippers fall, and we're going to place our monogram transfer here. And here we're using our CAD cut flock. And flock, it's a very unique material, and it gives it a nice felt suede-like finish. But in addition, it gives a little bit of a raised design, which embroiderers like, and what we're seeing trending as a design is three-dimensional type graphics. So flock has some dimension to it. And we're going to go ahead and heat press this. Make sure I'm straight. I'll swing back. We're going to heat press this. Let me adjust my pressure. So we have a small surface area, so we have to increase that. And much like the auto clam, the Fusion also has a live pressure readout on the screen, so no matter who's doing the heat press application, pressure is going to remain consistent. And another thing mentioning consistency is this, the Hotronix Fusion has programmable settings, so you could go ahead in here and add presets to all the different heat transfer products that you use and name them so that everything, and you'll set the time and the temperature and the pressure. So that way somebody could just come in, they're using fashion film, they're using flock, they're using metallic, whatever it is, they just go into the presets and select that setting. So that way they don't have, it takes out all the guesswork of what the time and temperature is. And I'm not peeling this yet because the flock, it's a cold peel product. So we're just going to leave this cool a little bit. And we have another question here from Micah. How much is that press? I'm assuming we're just doing the Hotronix Fusion, and the Hotronix Fusion is $22.50, and that's a 16 by 20 heat press platen that'll come with that. And then we have some nice packages put together with optional platens and additional accessories and things, which you could view those at Stahls.com under our heat press packages. But for this heat press itself, it's $22.50, and that's the 16 by 20 platen size. And as far as the optional platens go, like I had mentioned, we had the question before that every heat press that Stahls Hotronix makes, you could do the interchangeable platens. So we have obviously the 16 by 20, we have an 11 by 15, a 4 by 4, a 6 by 10, an 8 by 10, and a leg and sleeve, which are all stock platens. One nice thing about Hotronix as well is if we have the ability to do custom created platens. So if you have some crazy application, like we had one client who was doing just promotional decoration for umbrellas, and he was having difficulty in using one of the square platens to get the umbrella to kind of sit there, not having to hold it in some weird way or put some contraption just to keep the umbrella up. Hotronix was able to design them a triangular type platen where they could drop that umbrella on there, and it sat there nicely because of the design of that platen, and they were able to quickly and easily decorate that platen. In another custom platen we have done, we had a manufacturer who was decorating gloves, and so they made a heat press platen that had 3 prongs on each side, and they could dress the gloves on there and press 6 gloves total at one time. So not only does it accommodate odd shapes, but for them they were able to decorate 6 gloves as opposed to 1 or 2. Oh, and we also have a shoe platen to decorate shoes and things like that. So a lot of different options for you, and the optional platens work best on the Fusion because of the different versatility. So people always ask, okay, well, what heat press should I start with? And it really depends on your business itself. Like the home crafter, they're often doing things other than t-shirts. So I kind of tend to lead them towards the Fusion because you have more ability to decorate more items. Now, if you're a sportswear shop or decorating jerseys, a lot of folks like to go with the clamshell because it the standard platens will accommodate pretty much anything that they do. And if you're doing a lot of sportswear, they like the auto release feature, so it helps their production. Now with the Fusion, some sportswear companies like it too, because they may be doing individual lettering and numbering. So the heat-free workspace is nice if you have to do a lot of layout. So it really depends on your business and what the majority is that you're doing. So the most versatile, Fusion, and the most practical, I think, and production oriented is the Auto Clam. And then we have the Stahls Max, which is more of for folks wanting a top-notch heat press but are more on a budget because of the price points there. Now, any of these heat presses that you buy, you're going to have the confidence that you're going to have even pressure, even heat, and accurate times and temperatures and all that stuff, so that you know that you're applying the temperature at which it's reading and you're not going to get faulty transfers. So no matter what you choose from here, you're getting a quality press. When you dive in further as to what you really want to be decorating, will ultimately make the decision. So do we have any other questions out there? Looks like this is from Anthony. He was at the ASI show last week, and he owns the clamshell Hotronix, and he loves it. And his question is, what is the thinnest vinyl on the market, trying to avoid bulky looking designs on the garments? So it's a great question to ask, because we're making a new push on the Premium Plus, the CAD Cut Premium Plus. Many of you have probably heard of it, or probably even used it, because it's a product that we've had out for a number of years. And it's very thin, very soft hand. It has a 4-way stretch and rebound, so it's perfect for those rib net cotton tees that stretch, performance gear, anything with stretchability. And when you heat press that, it almost becomes one with the garment. It's by far the softest and thinnest product that we have, and it's one of my favorite products. But one negative comments that were always about Premium Plus is it wasn't very good with fine detail or small text, because the carrier that it was mounted on had a slight tack to it, but not very much. So with bigger designs, names, 2-inch names, 8-inch numbers, it worked great in bigger designs. But everybody knows that they're doing left chest monogramming and things like that, where small text, you just couldn't do it because it wasn't very production friendly, because it doesn't have the sticky backing. So now what we've done is we've added a different version. We still have the low tack, but now we also have a high tack, which it allows for fine detail, small text, but also the big kicker is it's now a hot peel, because Premium Plus previously was a warm to cool peel, so you had to set your transfers aside in order to be able to before you could peel the carrier, before the heat press application was complete. So now we've added the sticky carrier and the hot peel qualities. So Premium Plus High Tack, I think, is going to quickly become our best selling, because I mean, it truly is a great finish, and it's a great feel. If you probably saw it at the ASI show as well, just what you do is just get it, purchase a yard, purchase a roll. You won't regret it, that's for sure. And let's see, and I think that looks like to be all the questions. So we appreciate everybody joining us today. And you could view more information on each and every one of these presses at stahls.com for prices on the Platens, the presses themselves, or give us a call and we could chat with you and better understand your business and help you place the right heat press at your business. So before we close here, we have some upcoming live events at all of our locations throughout the country, from Michigan to Florida to Pennsylvania. We have some classes coming up in March. March 13th, we're having a Roland GS24 boot camp, and March 13th, we're also doing a heat transfer vinyl class that's going to cover different topics and things like that when it comes to heat transfer vinyl. That's in March 13th. And then March 14th, we're having the CE6000 Graphtec Vinyl Cutter Boot Camp. And on the 14th, we're doing Heat Transfer Vinyl 201, which is a little more in-depth in working with heat transfer vinyl. So you could check out more information at stahls.com/stahls-classes for all the times and the ability to register. So it's a great way to get in front of us and get some hands-on with these types of products if you're in any of our areas for the shops. So we look forward to having you in. Visit stahls.com or give us a call. We can get you signed up today. And again, thanks for joining me today. I'm Mike Koval, and look forward to talking to you soon.